Now, I've got to tell you, food prices, they're not looking good. They're still being squeezed by food inflation.
That's right. Some household favourites are almost tripling. They've tripled in price over the last 2 years, according to a new report.
So it's the Wits report. It revealed that, get this, Aldi, Asda and Lidl, not as you might have thought, perhaps Waitrose and Sainsbury's, M&S, were the worst offenders for price hikes. So we're going to speak to our economics and business editor, Liam Halligan. I'm amazed by this, because isn't the whole point of Lidl and Aldi that they're cheap? That's their shtick.
That's true, but the price rises are coming from a lower level in many cases, so they're often still a lot cheaper. They're certainly gaining a lot of market share off the likes of Waitrose and Tesco, though Tesco still have the most market share. Look, this is a really big week for inflation, so we're kicking off today, Monday, with some unofficial figures. The official inflation figures that are going to be watched very closely, not just here but around the world, because they'll determine what the Bank of England does on interest rates when it meets in the first week of August. They come out on Wednesday, and Wednesday's going to be a big day. They'll come out at 7 a.m. I'll be here in the studio talking about it all day.
Because it didn't go down last time.
No, it stayed at 8.7%.
Yeah.
And American inflation now is 3%.
Yeah.
So we're an outlier now internationally. But we're kicking off the week with these numbers, also from a very reputable source, the Which magazine, but they're not official numbers. It's Which's survey of 21,000 goods across the country. And these aren't over a year, they're over 2 years, right? So these price rises I'm going to talk about are June 2023 compared to June 2021. Bakery products up 30% over 2 years, right? Cheese products up 35% over 2 years.
This is across all the supermarkets.
Across all the supermarkets. And meat products up 24% over 2 years. Now, let's have a talk about some specifics. You mentioned Aldi and Lidl. I've highlighted another two, and specific goods that we all know and love. Sainsbury's Bakewell cake slices. That's the box of 6, you know, the ones you can do with a single cup of tea and you've missed your dinner. We've all been there. They've gone up over the last 2 years from £1 to £2.75. Morrison's own brand mozzarella up from 49p 2 years ago to £1.19. Sainsbury's pork loin steaks up from £1.49. Get this, to £4.28.
More than double.
More than double. Now, later this month, CMA, what's that? That's the old OFT, Office of Fair Trading. The CMA is the new version of that, the Competition and Markets Authority, right? They are doing a report into whether or not supermarkets are, it's daytime TV, taking the Michael.
Yeah,
right?
ripping us off.
Yeah, ripping us off. So the CMA report is coming out later this month. I mean, I've said for many months, I do think there's evidence of price gouging. The big supermarkets would deny that. Producer price indices, which I've often spoken about, they're the costs of firms' inputs, right? Yeah. The producer price index, it's collapsed in the last 3 months. It's in 1 or 2% inflation on producer price indices, and yet food price inflation was still up at 18% back in May when the last figure came out.
There's always a lag, but it shouldn't be that.
There's always a lag, and the supermarkets will say to me, I say things like this, they get their PR people to email me like crazy. They say, oh, but Liam, but you're a clever guy, you understand fuel prices and labour prices and the prices of heating greenhouses to make our tomatoes in the winter. And all that's completely true. But guess what? The price of energy has come down markedly over the last year. And this lag on food prices, I've stopped buying that argument, OK? And the question is, has the CMA stopped buying that argument too?
And if they have stopped buying it, what can they do about it?
Well, they can fine supermarkets. Again, supermarkets deny that they've done anything wrong, and that's completely within their gift. I'm expressing an opinion based on my eyeballing of the data.
So this CMA report, will they have gone to the supermarkets and said, we want to see evidence of your increasing costs?
We'll have to see.
Do they have to hand
We'll have to see, because there are CMA reports and there are CMA reports. There's, you know, like sometimes when you go for an MOT, sometimes it's bloke waves a clipboard around, you're right, son, off you go. Other times it's bonnet up, you know, you end up having a full inspection. So we'll have to see what the CMA comes up with. But I would say, Bev, not that the ministers control the CMA, they don't. It's an independent regulatory body. But the public interest in this now, the political pressure, the fact that the three of us are talking about it, with everything else that's going on in the world, right? We are here, again, talking about food prices.
And, yeah, we're all pretty well-to-do. I know when I go in my Waitrose supermarket, I think, blimey,
Yeah.
Oh.
Didn't used to cost that.
Yeah.
You're in Waitrose.
You're going for a few bits and pieces and suddenly you spent 120 quid.
Yeah.
And it's not even your weekly shop.
And we know these regulators, Liam, are often useless because we've seen that in the water industry. They've done not enough about these companies chucking all the sewage into the water. The woman who ran the regulator is now in charge of Thames Water and saying, oh, if you've got a big garden, you have to pay a bigger bill. Outrageous.
No regulatory body is perfect,
No.
obviously. Regulatory bodies in general, I'm not talking about any in particular, are subject to what we call regulatory capture. That's something that people learn about when they do A-level economics. You sort of know what it means.
Yeah.
It means when the regulator gets captured by interests within the industry that they're regulating.
They've got too close.
Again, no casting of personal aspersions here, but regulators haven't been unknown, that they end up working in the industry a few years later, that they were regulating. That capture has happened across Western economies throughout time. So we'll have to see what the CMA comes up with. The CMA is a relatively new body. It replaced the old OFT, as I said. It's got now two really important investigations going on. One into house building, right, which I campaigned for and which Michael Gove recommended, and the CMA have gone for that. They're having a look into whether or not our big house builders are deliberately building slowly in order to keep prices high.
They are.
And now also... They would deny that. And now, Your Honour, now also they're doing food prices. What is more important in politics than food and housing? After love, they are the two most, another thing, they are two of the most important basic instincts, right? Food and housing. That's what we need. We've now got our regulators investigating how both are delivered in this country. This is big news.
And the other important thing, your graphics.
Oh, yeah. We need an investigation into them. There aren't nearly enough.
Right. Thank you, Liam.